This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. My name's Matt, your host. Today, I got a new special guest. I met him one time at T-Mobile, and ever since then, he put me on with Abel. Abel put me on the Adam, so I really appreciate this guy. Go ahead and give yourself an introduction.
Yo, man, it's a pleasure to be here. My name's Niko. My artist name is Shy Niko. It's a pleasure to be here, dude.
Thank you, bro. I really appreciate it. Before we get into it, guys, go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. It's going to be a good episode. Jumping right into it, man. The first time we actually met, we had a conversation. You had mentioned you're a producer. I'm like, oh, damn, I'm about to start a podcast, Sad Boy Radio.
Yeah.
Check it out. I told him about Blue Door Studios, too, so just so you know, Vic, right from the beginning. And, yeah, it was just a conversation about following your passions and how as an artist you don't necessarily need to be the biggest thing out there, even though you'd like to be. You know, it's a sustainable career, right? So following your passions, following your dreams, and that's something that's hard for a lot of people because of the criticism that follows it, right?
Yeah, totally.
One song that immediately comes to mind is like Everything Will Be Okay by G-Eazy. I don't know if you've heard it or if you can recall it off the top of your head, but the first verse is he has a relationship, right? And the relationship, you know, he leaves it all behind and he contemplates on what life could have been like had he stayed there. You know, he leaves his brother and his brother has to take care of his mom, all this stuff, right? So for you, what's one of those things that, you know, one of those moments that you can think of that could have drastically changed your life had you like chose that rather than music?
So, you know, I started music pretty young. Like my sister was like in the concert band in elementary school, and like my parents had bought her an instrument at the time. She kind of grew out of it pretty quick, and she kind of handed it down to me. And like I got started in music because of just by like relation to my sister, really, you know, and like her and my mom being like, you should just try it, like you'll like it, you know. You're always like listen to fucking music anyway. So it's like, so I got into it young, and then like technically I was classically trained, although like all that shit has gone out the door these days. Because I definitely, it's like you have to keep up with it, you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, so flash forward to college, I was at DePaul University, and I was actually on like a biomedical track, and that was interesting, and it was like I nerd out about like science and, you know, anything like ecological studies or biology, but I knew that like my passion was music because I was skipping class time and time and again to just like go home and make beats and like work on like an artist track or whatever, and I hit the point my junior year of college where I was like I wasn't even going to class, and I was actually like failing, which, you know, I knew I was gonna like I was basically either going to fail out or like get my shit together, or what I didn't consider was that there was an option 3 where I can just be like, you know what, I don't even have to fail out. I can just not go to school anymore and just go into music full time. So I was like on the track to be a doctor for like the first 2 years, and then the third year really like, dude, this was so stupid at the time, but I was like on the train with my laptop out, like on the CTA, which is like in hindsight so fucking dumb because like anyone could have like just like caught that shit real quick. But, you know, I was like, okay, my long commute to school, like I'm gonna be on the train making music, I'm gonna be like having my earbuds in like in class, like at the very back at like those big lecture halls, and like just like cooking up. So I don't know, at some point I just had to realize it was right in front of me and then just be like, let's take a chance on this music. I had no plan and I had no real like traction. I mean, I was like, there's a few people around school and campus that like knew my artist project, which at the time was called Ennui, Ennui. Yeah, I mean, I guess that was really like the pivotal moment of like, if I continue to do this, I'm going to be a doctor, but I don't think I'll be fucking happy. Yeah. You know, and like, I think at the time I was motivated by the future earnings, you know, versus like the fulfillment of something. So yeah. I think that was kind of that turning point where I was like, you know what? Let's just take a chance on myself and see how this goes.
Oh, no, for sure. And that's like something you definitely got to think about, you know, whether you're going to be happy or not. I'm pretty sure when we first talked, we talked about that. And that's kind of like the crossroads I've kind of come to, right? I was just talking in my group chat. My boy's homie is A&R for Atlantic, right?
Sick.
So I told him, I'm like, yo, tell him put me on with a job. He's from Maryland. So I don't know the dude. And he's like, why don't you get a job in something you're graduating in? I'm like,
Hell no.
I was like, don't worry about what I'm doing, bro. Just put me on. Because, I like music. That's always been like my first passion. And right away, this whole semester, this has been the toughest semester because I'm starting to manage this and I'm managing school, right?
Yeah.
And the only reason I'm still focusing on school is because I'm legit like graduating this semester. So I'm like, fuck it, bro. Like, I got it.
I'm not saying to drop out. I'm just like, dude, you should definitely finish because you're so close.
Yeah, fuck that. Oh, man, I'm so fucking happy. But, yeah, there you go. Hey, just so you guys know, he was making beats before the AirPods. So he had to, be real close to that computer on the...
Dude, the string, dude,
Man, that's a crazy story because, you're literally the definition of, I have to choose this or I have to choose that. And hey, did you end up failing out or you just dropped out?
No, I mean, honestly, dude, I got my shit together by the end of like that semester. I had like, I don't know, 3.2 or something like that, 3.1, nothing special. But ultimately, I just like went into the student body office and I was like, hey, I'm just going to take a break. At the time, I had just gotten like an internship at a studio in Chicago called C Music. Mm-hmm. My buddy Chuck was the owner of that. And it was like, okay, now is like a real opportunity to be in a professional studio that's doing work with Chance the Rapper and Vic Mensa and like post Cool Kids. And he was also doing a lot of work with like huge brands on the commercial side because they were making music for advertising. So like I just knew it was the right place to be at the time, and like ultimately experience that I gathered there from Chuck and like the other people who I met like was just like such a huge moment for me because some of those people are my best friends now. Like other interns who were like at that studio, we didn't know each other because he was getting them from Columbia College, from DePaul, from Loyola, from University of Chicago, like all these different schools. And I mean, just cutting my teeth there was just like such a special and lucky thing to be in because there was no other real studio really doing that. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of studios doing artist projects, but not both. I always kept saying to myself, I'll go back and finish school. And 10 years later, I don't know, DePaul. I don't know if I'll be back.
He's saying maybe, but most likely not.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, but you know what, bro? You definitely have a lot of stories and you have a lot of wisdom that you built up through that, that especially that experience alone, right? It taught you so much. And anybody I've talked to about you, they're like, man, Niko's such a smart guy. He's got it all set. He knows exactly what he's doing. That's what Adam and Abel told me. So for you, what's one of those toughest lessons that you had to learn? Not even that you feel has helped others, but for you first, what is the toughest lesson you had to learn?
That's a tough question because there's been a lot of like really tough learning moments. I think, not to sound cliche, but I think like the biggest and the toughest hurdle to like get over was like learning patience because like you have a sense of urgency when like you decide to make music like your thing. You know what I mean? Like this is going to be my career now. Like, and you have a sense of urgency to be like, okay, how do I make money? How do I make good music? How do I make better music? How do I like do all the cool shit? And you just want it all now. But like, it's just like, I equate it to like, okay, well, if you try and work out for 2 weeks before you go on spring break and get that spring break body, it's like, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? But if you work out every day for a year, then by next spring break, you'll look better. And then if you keep doing that for fucking, 10 more years, damn, you're going to be like the flyest shit at the beach, right? But like, it was kind of that moment, after my first year being at that studio, I had a couple little successes here and there, with some like artist cuts, landing some like commercials. And I felt like, wow, this is awesome. But like, now I want to level up and do even more, and it was just like, I just had to remind myself like, dude, it's year one, really. It's really year one. And like, it's going to come over time. Mm-hmm. And just like, even nowadays, dude, there's like a lot of aspirations I have, even like 10 years into this journey. And I'm like, now I'm 29 and I still want it all. But I realize now that it takes time and, the whole like 10,000 hours thing. I'm like, well, nobody talks about the 20,000 hours and the 30,000 hours. So like 10,000 hours is approximately 10 years of work. Okay. If you're doing it full time. And, I think my frustration with not getting to where I want to be has been supplemented by like excitement of like, you know what, I just need to be patient. Everything that I want to do will happen as long as you're just being smart and like treating people well and like just being yourself and that kind of thing.
I feel that. Yeah, patience, man. Patience is key. That's like the toughest lesson a lot of people have to learn because, just like you said, right away you want it all. You want it to happen overnight. And those overnight success stories, there come so little and far few between, right?
Yeah, totally, man. And even those overnight success stories are like, when you look under the hood a lot of the times, discounts the like years of work that person was doing in the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, so I think there's almost no real overnight success, to be honest with you.
Yeah, to be honest, realistically, no. Sometimes people just blow up. To me, that's, the mentality I have with this. And a TikTok I watched, they talked about how, even if you got one person, 1, 2, 3 people listening to whatever you got to say, listening to your music, that's still 1, 2, 3 people that checked out what you had to say, right? You specifically. So I think, with the podcast, at least, it's definitely helped me put it into perspective, into a positive light, right?
Yeah.
To think, okay, today it was 1, 2, 3 people. Tomorrow it could be 100, 200, 300 people.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'll look at somebody's YouTube video and I'll be like, damn, how the hell did they get 300, 400 videos? Like, they got one video, it's 300, 400. I'm like, all right. But realistically, like, are they going to upload as much as I am? Are they going to do all this? And I look at radio shows, right? Like The Breakfast Club, Angie Martinez, right? Sure, they have not $1 million, but million view videos. But there's a lot of those videos where it's, 3,000, 6,000, 10,000. It's not meeting the quota that they needed to meet.
Yeah, totally.
So not every project's going to be a hit, but you hope every project's a hit,
Oh, we all secretly hope everything we do is going to be a massive success. But, like, I think that's, like, one of the other things I've learned over the years is, like, try a lot of different things, dude. Like, like I told you about, I used to have an artist moniker that, like, ultimately it was, like, it was working, but it wasn't working for me, how I wanted it. You know what I mean? And it was, like, not necessarily the type of music that I, in the long term, was, like, in love with. It was, like, very specific, like, EDM stuff at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started, like, really branching out and, like, trying to make more music than just electronic music, it was, like, important for me to, like, let that sort of moniker be where it was in that time period, which is why, like, with, like, the Shine Niko project, it's just, like, it's, the name itself is even, like, meant to be a little tongue-in-cheek because, like, those who know me know I'm not, like, very shy, but, it's also a little play on the words from, like, Chi-Town, obviously. So it's meant to just be, like, fun, man, and, like, me just, like, experimenting and having fun with things. And, like, I haven't used my voice to sing on things in a lot of years, and finally, like, the single that's coming out on the 12th is going to be, like, me singing on it and, like, just being comfortable with, like, doing my own thing kind of thing.
Yeah. So talk about that project a little bit. What genre should we expect from it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I guess you could call it, like, bedroom pop with, like, a little bit of, like R&B flows in it. It's a little bit, like, it's different. My influences growing up were, like, Red Hot Chili Peppers, but also Kid Cudi, and, like, like, so you'll hear, like, I think a little bit of both of those. But then even, like, my first couple singles were nothing like that, and I'm, like, learning to be okay with that because I'm, like, I think there's a stress on artists to be like, oh, I have to be cohesive in everything I do, and everything needs to sound like it's, like, from the same project and, like, whatever. And I'm, like, Shine Niko to me is just, like, it's a place where I can be me and, like, have my music be whatever the fuck I want it to be. And, like, those who like the first single may not like this one, but then there's people that I think who didn't like the first single, but they'll like this one that's coming out called Icy Girl. You know what I mean? So I'm just learning to, like, care less, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And just enjoy the process in and of itself in like, actually making this stuff.
Mm-hmm. And it brings a new audience to it, Like, that's the most important part is just adopting a new audience, right? Because if you stay the same over so many years, it's like, okay, where's the growth? Where's the growth as a person and where's the growth as an artist, So, hey, that's like something Adam did, right? Adam, he originally said he stayed within Motown, right? He sang a lot of Motown.
Man, he was on that, like, Bruno Mars vibe of, like, like, really in that world of, like, soul, like.
That's Charlie Puth, bro. I think he's Charlie Puth. Like, if they told him, hey, write me See You Again, Adam would be big right now.
Dude. Adam is the Latin Charlie Puth. And you heard it here first.
Yeah, there you go. But hey, make sure you guys go stream his new song, Icy Girl.
No, my song's not out yet. It's on the 12th.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, make sure you guys go stream his new song, Icy Girl, on the 12th. 12th of November, right? Yeah, not the 12th of December, 12th of November. All right, bro. So going back to it, right? Following your dreams. With that being said, you know, there's a lot of times where you got to draw boundaries between people. A lot of people will try to take advantage of you. Yeah. They'll say, oh, remember when I did this for you? Remember when I helped you out? Like a song by August Alsina, Don't Forget About Me. The song is specifically talking about how someone tells him, you know, my advice, if you're telling me don't forget you, you're just being forgettable. You're one of those people I'm not even going to think about. So for you, how, you know, what kind of boundaries have you set to make you, you know, successful with what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, look, man, I like to keep like an open door policy, and I do not like to burn bridges. Mm-hmm. Like, I just think it's like such a bad vibe, you know, like I like to think is like, you know, boundaries is important. So it's not burning bridges, but setting boundaries is important because it like ultimately helps you do what you want to do and get to where you want to be. And, you know, I think a lesson even recently was I was working with an artist and his manager for about 6 months last year during the pandemic, leading into the pandemic. So, you know, a lot of it was in person and then some of it was remote. You know, without naming any names, I think like the valuable lesson from that experience was like, well, sometimes people are going to try to just like pay you less than what you're worth, or kind of just completely go back on what they said and things like that. And I think if you just stay the course and you're just like, no, man, here's the text, here's the emails, you know, like stick to your guns in that regard. You know, it just helps you like know what you're worth and like double down on that. Mm-hmm. There's no bad blood. Like, and I was just like, well, you know, those guys know where to find me if they have the right budget. You know, happy to work with them. Yeah. But ultimately, like, I think what it comes down to is like people's inexperience sometimes, and like those guys are like, I'm sure they're good folks, but they just didn't know what they're doing. You know, they're trying to like get free production. They're trying to say like, oh, well, you didn't really write this song, and it's like all that stuff that I'm just like, well, I know in my heart what I did and what I didn't do. Yeah. And you guys can spin whatever narrative you want about like the situation, but ultimately, you know, if you want to use anything I did, then we got to come to an agreement here. And if we can't, then that's okay too. You know, it's no bad blood and no hard feelings. But I think a lot of people mistaken like how things should work and how they think it should work because they think like, well, I'm the artist, you know. I hate to use like the word entitlement, but that's probably the best way to describe it. Like a lot of younger artists are like, well, like it's my song now. And you're like, no, you didn't pay me. You like, I've only actually given you my time and energy and skills and production. So it's our song until further notice. You know what I mean? Like, but I was that artist when I was younger too, man. Like if I was working with someone, I'd be like, yeah, man, this is gonna be sick. It's my next single, you know, but like, it's so easy to get caught up in that and think like, yeah, this is mine. It's like, well, no, I didn't pay that producer. I didn't pay that mix engineer. It's like, it's a cohesive thing, you know? And like, you know, my boys like Adam and Abel and Johnny, like that, the vernacular is always like our, not me, you know? Mm-hmm. And like we, not I. Mm-hmm. And I think we're pretty big on that stuff, man, because it's like there's the only longevity is going to be with like your team and not like you alone. Yeah. And that you could honestly see all of that, you know, that there's a lot of love within that camp, you know. Yeah. And everything that comes out when it's a collaborative effort, even on Apple Music, Spotify, it'll say and. You know, Adam Martinez and Abel. Yep. It's never just Adam Martinez featuring Abel. Yep. So, and that's a newer thing within the music industry where, you know, when you do a song with an artist that, you know, you continuously collaborate where they're putting, and that's not just, you know, local artists, it's a new thing with bigger artists as well. Yeah. So it's definitely interesting to see just how that the music industry is changing in that way, you know? Totally, man. I mean, I think that stuff should reflect what people contribute to the song, you know, and like I know with those guys, like they co-write so much together. Like, of course, it's an and thing, you know, but then of course there's still that situation where, you know, I think if you're just getting like a featured vocalist on it that didn't write the song and they're just cutting the vocals or something, I think in that case it's, you know, appropriate to just be like featuring this person. Well, since we're on the topic, bro, you know, like I said, you're the one that put me on the Able, so go ahead and talk about that relationship a little bit. How did that start? Dude, so it was crazy. Johnny and I, Johnny Carter, which you'll hear on Abel's music a lot, like Johnny Carter con el fuego. Johnny and I were working on one of his artist projects, doing an album together. And, you know, we would take breaks in between these sessions and just like play each other like new music or whatever. All of a sudden, Johnny one day pulls up this kid. He's like, yeah, dude, I like went to high school with this dude, but we weren't like super good friends, but we're not enemies by any means either. He's like, and like we just started reconnecting, and like he's just dropping music left and right, and like we're listening to it, and we're listening, and we're like, you motherfucker, this is so good. We're like, it just didn't make sense because we're like, damn, dude, like he's really just out here operating and just like executing and putting his shit out, and like, you know, just like totally new to the game. This was a couple of years back. Ultimately, it was through Johnny that I met Abel, and you know, over time, it's just been really cool because there's times where, like, I won't even touch any production, but I'll just, like, work on the engineering side. Or there's times I will produce but not do the engineering and all that stuff. And we've just grown to be good friends over the years. And, like, he's very much, like, a brother and just, like, he's going to go places, man. It's just, like, I feel lucky and, like, privileged to be here at, like, one of the very start of it all, you know, and, like, really seeing it. Like, and same goes for Adam. Same goes for Johnny. It's just, like, it's lucky, man, you know, and the fact that like we all keep good company is total privilege.
Yeah, that's what's up. And Abel, yeah, he definitely always has a lot of stuff lined up. He's always doing shows, so that's good to see, you know, from local artists, because there's a lot of local artists who, I wouldn't say they don't know how to get into the positions like that, but you know, they don't put themselves in the positions like that. You know, Abel seems like a go-getter, and that's going to take you a lot of places in music.
Completely, dude. You know, we were talking earlier about just, like, being consistent over time. Abel and Adam have that, you know, and Johnny, too, of course. Those guys know that, like, it's coming, but it'll just take some time, you know. And already, like, year over year, I see where they are compared to last year, compared to the year before. And it's only exponential, you know what I mean? So, like, I'm excited to see what the next couple of years are going to hold. And even then after that, what that's going to look like, you know? Because I think at some point we're all going to be at the Grammys and just being like, shit, remember when we were in Chicago? We were just like, there was no stakes, low stakes and no stakes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're just really doing it for, like, the love of it. I just hope to maintain that sort of, like, connection with music. And I think I can speak for those guys, too. Like, we do it not because we're like trying to get a Grammy. Like, that's, you know, what's rewarding is like making something and like all your friends being like, dude, that's fucking sick.
Yeah.
You know, like actual excitement for like the things that you're making. And like, and on top of that, like as an artist, like we all hate our own creations most of the time, you know? So you're just like, you know, when you start making stuff, you're like, ah, man, I actually kind of like this. It's like, it's not meant to be self-serving. It's meant to be like, you can actually do this, and, you know, starting to level up and all that stuff. It's been a fun journey with those guys, man. I'm just excited to see what the next few years are going to hold.
Hey, man, when you guys end up at the Grammys, remember, shout out Sad Boy Radio. I interviewed all three of you. I need Johnny next. So, hey, Johnny Carter, I saw you comment on Abel's. You're next, bro.
Oh, yeah, dude. I was just with him, like, right before I came here. Yeah. We were working on his solo artist stuff.
So how'd you start working with him? It seems like he's the beginning of it all for you, Abel, and Adam.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is that I met Johnny through the Remix Project in Chicago, which is run by Jack Flash, who's like very much like a friend and mentor to like me and Johnny. Sick producer, sick engineer, sick just like community organizer. So the Remix Project is like a non-for-profit that was started by Gavin Shepard and 40, who's Drake's producer, out in Toronto. They opened a Chicago chapter, and Jack, our buddy, is kind of like at the helm of that. And it's meant for people who are sort of underprivileged and don't have the resources or like the connections to be able to like do music full time. So they do this really amazing program that's like super intensive, you know, is like a crash course in like production or like music videos and things like that. So it's not just making music, but it is centered around people who like want to be producers and artists and writers. And so I think it's like a 9-month program that like you do these like networking events, you do this, that, and the other. So that was like kind of this one avenue in which Johnny and I had met, but then at the same time of really like connecting through Remix, we were working on this same artist project, but like unbeknownst to each other. So as my buddy Ezekiel, who's like super fire artist, you definitely got to meet him at some point. You know, he's like lives in the world of like Nine Inch Nails meets like The Weeknd meets like, I don't know, like Nirvana almost. Latino artist, but like just can do everything. So on his first project, which was 2015, I want to say, I'm like hearing some things in the production. I'm like, who the fuck did this, dude? And my buddy Izzy Ezekiel was like, oh, that's Johnny Carter, dude. And I was like, I gotta meet this motherfucker. It was like friendly competition, you know what I mean? It was like, damn, dude, I want to know how he did that, or how he did that, or how he did that. Like, when you find people that make cool shit that you're really interested in, you're just like interested in like dissecting it and understanding how it works. And I think that's like, you know, as a producer, I think every producer does this every single day with music. You're listening, but then you're also listening to see like, why did they make that choice? How did they make that choice? What did they use to make that sound? You know, like all those things. So yeah, we kind of met through two different avenues. You know, it's funny, like I play soccer, and like, you know, when I ran into Johnny at like a remix function networking event, you know, I noticed he had on some sambas, and I was like, dude, we got to just play. Like, let alone the music part, like, let's just fucking play. And we ended up playing soccer on the same team and all that stuff. I don't know, man, it's music. It's like, it's just such a weird, random thing that like you meet these people, but then it's funny, like, looking back on it, reflecting, that I feel like it was kind of an inevitability to meet these guys in a lot of ways, you know. And, like, Adam, I mean, the reason I know Adam is kind of an even crazier story. So, like, my buddy Angel and I were throwing a writing camp where we, like, rent out an Airbnb for a week, and then we invite people from, like, all over the world to, like, come in.
Is that where Abel and Adam met?
Yeah.
He talked about that. Yeah.
I mean, I think they knew each other from high school, too, because, like,
Yeah, they all went to
the same high school, but, like, they definitely weren't really like
homies
and like whatever. And like even later in life now, they were like, I didn't even know like you got shit going on or whatever.
Yeah.
So we had done this writing camp, and we had like people in from all over the world, you know, Tel Aviv, London, LA, Nashville, Toronto, Chicago, obviously New York. It was a curated sort of list of people. And my friend Shuba, who's like just absolutely killing it now, she came in for it at the time, and she was like, hey, you know, there's this dude Adam that like you don't know him, but like trust me, he's really good. I know that you're already capped out at like 20 people, but can he be like the 21st person? You know what I mean? And I'm like, let me hear his music before I decide. So she shows me the song that she and him were working on at the time. It was a demo, but I was like, this is really good. So I was like, hell yeah. I mean, you know, we're all about being inclusive, so we're like, absolutely, come through. You know, I would later find out that really the only reason Sheba wanted Adam there was to finish a song with him. But I think, you know, ultimately, like, the stuff that they did at the camp was, like, even better, to be honest. And I don't even know if the song ever came out, to be honest with you. But, yeah, so, you know, working with Adam, and, like, we had 4 or 5 different rooms set up, and there was, like, 3 or 4 people in each room working on a song. And it was kind of very, like, this structured thing. It was like, you got 2 hours, make a song, you know. Since I was running it, I was kind of popping my head into each of the different rooms, and, you know, seeing what Adam could do, I was like, damn. And then seeing what Abel could do, I was like, damn. You know, because it was really my first time really seeing, like, how they work, what their capabilities are, you know, what their comfort is, what all these things. And then, yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize until, like, after the fact, too, that Adam and Abel, like, really connected there, you know. And, like, honestly, that was kind of the goal of this stuff is, like, yeah, of course we want to make good music, but, like, ultimately we want to, like, create an environment in which people can, like, meet each other, meet new people, and, like, there's like a thing in Chicago where I feel like there's so much talent here, but like nobody's, like, all the right people are not necessarily working together. And if we can just like do whatever little part to be able to help create and foster that environment and like connect those dots here in Chicago, then like we'll be happy out of that, because there's no infrastructure like that, how there is in LA or like New York, you know, Nashville. Like Chicago has all the talent, dude, but it's just there's zero infrastructure here.
No, definitely, man. And that's something that, like, you don't even really think about, you know, having the infrastructure to bring all these artists together, because just like you said, LA, New York, those are places you think like, damn, let me go make music. Yeah. When it comes to Chicago, you don't really think about like Chicago artists working together. It's just like, all right, one blows up, they're out of here to LA, Atlanta, New York. Are they coming back? Who knows? Yeah.
You know, we were all talking about hitting LA at some point, but I think ultimately we're like, for what? We can just do it here. You know, you create the infrastructure yourself, you know, and like slowly but surely over time, I think we'll get there. That being said, I think it still is valuable to go to LA. Same as being it's valuable to go to anywhere and work with new people. You know what I mean? Like change the scenery and like be inspired by the places that you go. I was just in London with my girlfriend, and like just being there, like for the first time, I felt like I was just collecting music. Like I wasn't even making shit there, dude. I was just like straight up like, we'd be at like a restaurant or something, and all of a sudden we hear some music and we'd be like, what the hell is this? This is like so different than the shit you hear back in the States in the best way possible. So it's like, just going and changing your environment is like part of it too, which is why like, Abel and Johnny and I, and like we've done like little camps, like even just in Michigan, like changing the scenery and just like posting up and just being like, this is a different space to be inspired by,
That's what we're talking about. Right now we're talking about taking a retreat to like Michigan, get a cabin out to Michigan. Yeah, I think we got a space right now, but we'll definitely like hit you up for that other space, check out that spot. Like you said, changing the environment, it's sometimes you just got to switch shit up, and it could be for the better, it could be for the worse, but at the end of the day, you're going to gain experience from it.
I mean, like, we were talking about the infrastructure thing earlier, and that's why I really admire what you guys are doing, because ultimately, like, that's something that is connecting the people that are here in the community here, and like, like even off camera, I'm gonna be like, all right, who else did you like interview, and like try to figure out who I know, and if we could like, connect those people and things like that, because like you guys got artists on here, you got writers on here, you got producers on here, you got all the above, you got like just interesting people doing cool shit, and it's like, it's awesome what you guys are doing, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that, man. And that's what I really love about doing this. And I always, I try to thank the people that do come through as much as I possibly can, because, it's not like they get paid to come here. They show up, they talk to me, have a conversation, and, it is what it is. And that's what's dope about it. It's like people are just willing to come have the conversation. Totally. And, that was the idea when I started, just have a conversation with anybody, like if it were your best friend.
Totally, man. I mean, we started like shooting the shit at T-Mobile, like randomly,
over music.
Like if I remember, I was like trying to hustle Abel's music and be like, yo man, can you play Abel's music on the speakers over here?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I did. I play his music at the store now too. Man, any artist that like I do listen to that I've interviewed, I play this shit at the store. Like Adam, I played at the store. This guy Cuyo, I played his music at the store. Played everybody's music at the store, and man, fuck that store. But it'd be like that. At the end of the day, it's all about who you know and who that person knows, and just creating those connections. And
who knows you?
One last question I got for you, bro. When it comes to music, there's a lot of sacrifices you have to make. One of my all-time favorite songs and lines, at least from the song, is by Drake, Light Up. And in the song, he says, they always tell me that nobody's working as hard as you. And even though I laugh it off, man, it's probably true. Because while they're out partying, I'm making the music that they party to, right?
Love it.
So think about it like that, right? All those things, you got to make sacrifices when you're working. There's been times where I've had to stay home from the club. My friends are like, yo, come out. I'm like, nah, I can't do it. I got to edit this video.
Yeah.
They're like, man, you just got an excuse. So I'm like, nah, bro. The video comes first. I'll catch you on Friday. I'll catch you on Saturday. I'll catch you on Sunday. If it's Thursday night and I don't got the video done, I can't go out, man.
No, I get that, dude. I get that. I mean, sacrifices. Look, dude, I think sacrifice is relative, right? Depending on what you value. So if like you're someone that does value, being at the club, I don't think you are, but like if you're someone that does value that, then sacrifice is being able to say like, I'll forego that to pursue this, right? When it comes to like honestly reflecting on what I've sacrificed, I mean, I think it's not to get dark, dude, but it's been like time with like friends and family, and I think as I've gotten older, I've learned that like I don't need to sacrifice it that much, and actually instead I just need to be better at time management.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like there actually doesn't have to be these crazy like struggles if you just like work smart and not work hard, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I used to think that like, no, I have to stay in the studio for 12 hours a day in order to like make it, and I was like, actually that was like not the way to do it, at least for my journey, you know what I mean? It was like actually 12 hours was no more productive and no more efficient than 6 hours, which is why like nowadays I'll do like a 6-hour session max, but after that I'm like, I don't get better, I get worse, and then those new 6 hours of my day I can like spend with my girlfriend or spend with my family or like see my friends and like not do music, because like it's hard to kind of delineate, because you have this all-encompassing thing that's your passion, like like being with your friends and like not talking about music and actually just like shooting the shit about whatever, the memes that we saw, like the funny like shows and shit, and like comedians, you know, like just all that stuff that like makes you a more well-rounded person. I mean, and I try to do more of that stuff, because music can be like a blessing and a curse at the same time if you like let it fully take over your life. You know what I mean? It's a privilege to do music. I'm probably skipping over some sacrifices that I made, but I just really feel like, you know, the biggest thing was like my time with like family and friends over the years, you know. But again, nowadays figuring out a better rhythm with that and like just managing my time a little bit better and just, you know, doing that.
Time management, bro, it'd be the hardest thing ever in the fucking world, because, and I've tried to get better at it, you know, recently, only because, like I said, I gotta focus on this. I gotta do homework, school. I hate school because I gotta go there. I gotta come back, and I'm like, bro, by the time I get back, I don't want to do shit. I just sit down and I'm like, all right, that's it. That's a wrap for my day. But I don't like doing that.
It's a work in progress, dude. And by the way, I'm not perfect at it. Case in point, I was an hour late to this today. So I'm still working on it, trust me. Like, you know, and I sincerely apologize for being late to this today. But yeah, man, it's always a work in progress. And I think like that's another reoccurring theme in life, right? With like someone like yourself who's in the creative field and like pursuing a podcast and amongst other things, you're just like, dude, nothing's ever finished. It's like, you know, whether it's a song or the podcast, like, so what? You get to the 800th guest and then that's done? No. 801 comes around and you're like, all right, let's get to 1200. You know, like all that stuff. So I think it's been a fun learning lesson in that regard, you know.
For sure. It's so exciting, bro. It's especially when the frustrating part is having to find them, right? Finding the next guest and the next guest. That's why I had hit you up. Yeah. Mind you, we planned this a month in advance.
Right.
Yeah. Because at that point, I was like, all right, fuck it. I'm going to make a schedule. I'm going to get everybody lined up. I had people lined up. They canceled. And then I was fucked.
Yeah, you count for that stuff. Yeah. But, dude, honestly, you know, this goes without saying. Like, I'll line you up with the next 10 people. Like, there's so many good people out here in Chicago that, like, you know, you got to just continue to meet, and like they have really valuable insight. I mean, Johnny, who I'm sure you'll have on, I work on the management side with this girl, Piwa. She's fucking incredible. Like 19 years old, Columbia. She's born in Zimbabwe, raised in Texas, goes to college out here in Chicago now. And she's like a blend between TK Mediza and like Lauryn Hill and like a little bit of Erykah Badu, but like really interesting production and just like killing it. So like she's a unique voice, unique perspective, like, you know, I think it should be a requirement for this podcast. Like, if you come on here, you got to give us 3 people that you fuck with heavy and recommend them to come on here, which I like proudly will with her.
That's a good idea. I'm gonna keep that one in mind, because
33%.
Hey, we haven't made any profits off of this.
I'm kidding, bro. I'm kidding.
We are in negative.
Hey, man, that's literally like, you know, you're running a business, dude, and like you have to treat it as a business.
Were you able to bring the item?
Yeah, but I'm like, I was driving on my way over here, and I'm being honest with you, I'm like, that's cheesy as fuck, bro. Like,
yeah,
my sentimental item was like my business card, like literally like my like Chase business card, and it kind of relates to what we were talking about. Like, it's sentimental in the sense because like as soon as I started like looking at myself and like my music as a business, like I started to take myself more seriously. I started to like people take you more seriously, and like, you know, not just for like tax purposes, but like truthfully, like this is all a business. This Sad Boy Radio is a business, you know, and like, you know, one of those like other like lessons that I learned over the years is just like people only take you as seriously as you take yourself. So, you know, that like actually starting a business and like putting everything under one hood was like important and sentimental for me, because I was like, damn, that was the turning point where like things started like really going well, I would say. Nice. You know, and like started actually making a little bit of money and like being able to sustain myself off of music, you know, and like again treating it like a business, like P&Ls every year, you know.
You know, that's the moment you truly felt like, all right, this is real. Because there's been times where I had an episode where I talked about it, where you know, you don't really feel it until it becomes like a reality. Like, you know, this is who I am. Especially when I first started this podcast, you know, I'd go out and I'd be like, you know, I'd run into somebody and someone would say, oh, yeah, he has a podcast. Like, it wouldn't be me. It would be like my friend, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, I got a podcast. Like,
I have a question for you. At what point did you get over that imposter syndrome? Meaning, like, dude, you're 30 episodes in. That's like, this is a fucking business. You know, like, I don't know anyone other than, like, my one buddy, Neil and Blake, who have a podcast that, like, they've got about 25, 30 episodes. And, like, at what point were you, like, confidently like, yeah, I have a podcast, I run it with my homies, and like fucking we do it proper?
I don't even know. I still feel like there's times where I'm like, damn, I got a podcast. But I feel that I take it as seriously as I can now, you know? Like before it was like, all right, I got this to do. But now that, you know, I'm deep into school and I'm about to finish, I'm like, okay, this is my priority. Like I prioritize this rather than I prioritize anything else. So I guess it was that moment, right? And now when I'm in the club, I'll go tell people like, oh, follow the podcast. Like, hey, Sad Boy Radio, follow it.
It's also a genius name. I love it. It's fucking awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, Sad Boys for real, bro.
Amen, brother.
But yeah, man, that's all I have for you today.
Dude, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Of course. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming out. We're going to have to do it again, bro, for sure. And, man, maybe we'll even have to do an episode with all four of you at once. Bro.
Oh, that'd be fun as hell, dude.
Once again, bro, thank you. I really appreciate it. Go stream his new single, Icy Girl.
Yep.
Icy Girl, November 12th.
Yes, sir.
November 12th. That's my dad's birthday. So, yeah, hey, you got to stream it now. But thank you guys for watching. My name's Matt, your host, Sad Boy Radio, Shy Niko. And I'll drop his name in below. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you guys. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.